Hello, this is Meet the Problem Solvers. I'm Judy Perlman, your host, and we have a really interesting and exciting show tonight. My guest is Jocelyn Tager. She is the founder and also organizer and chief bottle washer for Neighborhood Solar. And the problem that we're going to be talking a lot about today is about our need and the imperative for us to all reduce our use of fossil fuels. And so Jocelyn has, I won't say single-handedly because she's very insistent that this is takes a village to do this, but she's really made a lot of progress in terms of creating much greater use and distribution of solar power and other approaches to bring down the use of fossil fuels. This is a lady who has knocked on literally hundreds of doors and made her pitch. So I asked her to tell us what happens when you knock on the door. Jocelyn?
Okay, thanks, Judy. Before I do that, I want to say thank you to you.
Oh.
Okay, for inviting me on, and also for, the name of this program is Problem Solvers, and I feel honored that you think of me as a problem solver. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so much. That's so nice.
So,
okay,
this
so let's
is
pretend.
right.
Yeah.
This is how I would start. When somebody comes to the door, I always begin with my name. So I say, "Hello, I'm Jocelyn Tager, and I'm here today." And I'm assuming I'm in Cambridge. I'm here today with Neighborhood Solar, Green Cambridge, Mothers Out Front, and Cambridge 350 to talk to you about solar and energy use. I want to make it very clear that I and everybody who is out working, canvassing today, we're all volunteers. None of us get paid. So that whatever you decide to do, whatever incentives you decide to take or make it available to yourselves, that they go to you. They have nothing to do with me or anybody else who's canvassing. So I start that way, and then I would say there are three programs right now available to the residents of Cambridge. The first is opting up to 100% green energy. The second is, and you can do the first two whether you're renters or not. The second is getting a home energy audit through Mass Save and Homeworks if you would like to use that company. And the third is Neighborhood Solar, which is offering residents of Cambridge and other communities 20% discount off the median price of solar in 2018. But it's offering a 20% discount right now, and it's open to everybody in Cambridge.
Okay, so there you are. You have somebody, they've opened their door, and you're talking to them about solar, and you've already slipped in the first minute that they can get a really good deal.
Correct.
If there's a financial thing going on here.
Right now.
So, you know what, while we're on that, let's just talk a little bit more about what you're doing. So when you're going door to door, you're talking individually, but what's really going on is that you're trying to assemble the largest possible group of people who might actually choose to get solar panels, solar installations on their house.
Correct.
Am I right so far?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what a group buy is, and tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it seemed to me that whenever we buy in quantity, we oftentimes get a discount. We get a more favorable price. So when I put this program together, and it was important to me to use a local installer who didn't contract out their work, who paid benefits, and who employed. When I went to them, and my most local, and actually for people in Cambridge, our most local installer is Sunbug Solar.
Sunbug, okay.
They're in Arlington. So I went to them, and I said, I'd like to put this program together. I'd like a substantial discount, and I'd like it to be a group buy for whoever comes in. And Ben Mayer, who's the director of the program, one of the directors of Sunbug, said yes. So a group buy really is that. It's that we're buying for a group of people basically all at once. And so the panels, the inverters, the equipment and so forth, there's a discount because we can purchase them in a bigger amount.
Got it. So a group buy then kind of harnesses a volume
Right.
discount.
Right.
Although this is such a clever woman that what she did was she basically said, if we're going to work to get a bunch of people to do this, we want the highest discount for everybody, no matter how many people participate.
Correct, because all of these programs are small, they're small. Going door to door, getting the word out. Well, this is great because it's a bigger word out, but getting the word out through email and through newsprint or online print, they're small programs. They're not, thousands of people. Neighborhood Solar does at this point have well over 100 arrays for sure, and and it has over a megawatt, or it has a megawatt of solar installed in Cambridge right now. But even so, that's a small program, and it's happened over several years. It's not been, it's not been all at once.
Right. So I have to ask you a really basic question. Help us understand, what is solar power?
Okay. Solar
Thank you.
power is harnessing the sunshine or the rays of the sun for energy or power. That's what it is.
Okay.
Very simple.
And we do that through these panels.
Correct.
And it's like when you drive by the highway and you see all these panels out there, that's
Correct.
called an array.
Correct.
And in other places, you put them on a roof or on some slanting space where they get sunlight.
Correct.
Okay. So we have a panel, it's attached to something that is capturing that electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So just talk to us a little bit about what happens over the course of a day, about having that panel up on your roof and what's happening in your house.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what happens is, hopefully, it doesn't even matter as long as it's daylight, because most of these panels are efficient enough that they will produce whether or not it's massively sunny, a little sunny, or even cloudy. So during daylight, these panels are producing electricity, essentially. And they're called behind the meter arrays. So what that means is they will first feed whatever is happening in your house. So if most people have a refrigerator running, but if you're using a computer, if you've got air conditioning on, if you're toasting some toast, your array will power that. On sunny days and in the summer, your array will make more electricity than you're using, and it will send the excess to the grid. Okay, so the meter goes like that, basically.
Okay.
At night, when there is no sunlight, the meter pulls electricity back from the grid. So you're either sending electricity to the grid or pulling electricity as you would without an array from the grid.
Got it.
Okay, but you are always powering your house first. And always, if there's daylight, I need to say.
Yeah, that is really cool. Okay, well, this is we're beginning to understand this a little bit, right? Let me just say, this is Meet the Problem Solvers. My guest tonight is Jocelyn Tager. She's the founder and lead organizer of Neighborhood Solar. And I just have to ask you, Jocelyn, tell us how you started. How did you get started with all this?
Okay, so there are some people who know my story. But in 2012, my husband was invited to speak in Turkey. And I said, I'm going along on this one. I'm going, as I joked with him, I said, I'm going as your very expensive walk-on luggage. And I went, and I couldn't get over Turkey because I had been to Turkey as a young girl. And Turkey, in the intervening years, had basically galloped from the 14th century into the 21st century. And on almost every house were solar arrays. And I thought, if Turkey can do this, why can't we? So I came back determined to do something about this, but I knew nothing about solar. I'm a psychologist in private practice. I have not made a dime from solar. So, but I figured if I put together a group buy for my neighbors, that we would get a better deal.
Wow.
So I went out on the street and I asked them, we're all very chatty, if I put together a group buy, would they be interested in solar? Would they be interested? And they said yes. And so I set about doing this. It took me 2.5 years to figure it out because I work at something else and have a busy life. But I did figure it out. And
You're not actually a bureaucrat by training.
No.
Or by nature.
Right. No.
But you piece together these different partnerships.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so I figured it out, and Neighborhood Solar is the perfect name for it because one of my neighbors was out there. We were looking for a name. She had her phone. Most of the names that we came up with, probably the first 30 were taken. Came up with, so she grabbed it. Her niece made the logo for it.
Nice.
Which is this one, right there. Another neighbor went with me the first time I went to Sunbug because he scopes big arrays for around the world, and he knew more about solar than I, so he came with me the first time.
Great.
So Neighborhood Solar fit because it was a neighborhood project.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about what the opportunity is right now, and I am going to put up on the screen a slide with some information about how you can get in touch with Neighborhood Solar, because right now we are in the middle of a group buy, which means you can sign up for your your free evaluation.
Yes,
free
you can get a free evaluation and assessment and proposal. And the one thing about, I think most people have been harassed to death by either solar companies calling or coming to the door, and we don't do that. Okay, but getting a free evaluation and proposal is an easy thing to do, and the slide explains how you do it. You basically go to Neighborhood Solar at sunbugsolar.com, or you can, there's the website up there, and you can see the details of the program. And if you live outside of Cambridge, Belmont, or Arlington, you can contact me and I'll bring you in, because after all, the sun has no boundaries.
Ah, lovely.
Doesn't know the streets, doesn't know, oops, there's a town that's not in this.
Right.
So I bring everybody in.
Okay, so we will come back to the slide again, but just want to make sure there's a time element here.
Right.
Which is, and this will happen again, and as Jocelyn said, you can go ahead and have your own relationship with a solar installer. There's no real reason that you shouldn't do that. This is just, you will get more favorable terms, and you'll have Jocelyn sort of game planning the whole thing with and for you in a really good way. And one thing we just talked a little bit about was the federal and the state incentives.
Right.
So if I can do this, there we go, I think. Jocelyn, take us a little bit through the federal and the state bennies, the bennies that come to those.
So the group buy offers a 20% discount off the median price of residential solar installation in 2018 across the state, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. After that, one, there's no sales tax. Two, there's no increase in property tax because these are not considered home improvements. Three, there's a 30% federal tax credit.
Wow.
So wow is right, because the cost of the array, 30% of it is eligible for a tax credit, which means you will not pay that amount in taxes. Okay, and that's only through 2019. So it's one of the reasons we're running the program right now, is to capture that. It goes down in 2020, I think, to 26%, and then it goes down from there. Mm-hmm. And then the state has $1,000 off a tax credit. And then there's, if I didn't say it, it's net metering. So for first of all, your electricity is free. And then for every surplus watt you produce, that goes to the grid, you get credits for that. and you can either use them yourself at night, or if you're producing a bigger surplus, you actually can send them to somebody else, those credits. You
Got
can.
it, wow.
And then last, there's a program called SMART right now, which is an amount of money that's paid for every watt that your array makes. And it's on top of the free electricity. And
Wow.
and I'm not sure what block we're in, so I can't say exactly what the amount of you get for each watt. But that too is a decreasing benefit, and so we're trying to capture the beginning parts of that so people get more incentive. And every month for the first 10 years of the life of the system, you will get a check from the DOER.
So one of the things that you also mentioned was that the 30% federal tax credit is not just on the array itself, but in many cases, people have to either replace a roof or repair a roof in order to house the solar array.
Right.
And that is also then
Well,
included. All of the costs of getting your roof ready
right.
to
Well,
do this.
I think the way the federal tax code reads, and I'm not an accountant, so people have to check with your accountant, but as my accountant explained it to me, it's what you have to do to support solar. So if you have to put on a new roof to support the array, that
It's all part of it. Yeah.
that you get 30% off on that also.
Okay.
Okay.
So everybody's eligible to do the first two things. One is, and this is an important one that is a very simple one to do, which is you look on your electric bill and you indicate in whatever way that they ask you to, that you want only to use
100% green energy. And
100% green energy.
you have to, there is a number that you have to call. I don't have that, so
Okay.
I can't state it right now. I don't have it with me. But you need to take your electrical bill and call that number, and you can, and tell, it's direct energy, and you can tell them that you live in Cambridge and that you're part of the Cambridge aggregation and you want to opt up to 100% green energy.
So that's one thing that all of us can
Can
do, those of us who have electricity in our homes, which
Right.
is a vast majority.
We hope, right?
Another thing that anyone can do, homeowner, renter, subletter,
Right.
is to have a home energy audit.
Correct.
And I've had that, it's great, they come in, they change all your light bulbs, they do all kinds of really good things, they change your thermostat, and they change your shower head, which I did not love that, but that's okay. And then getting the solar panels and the solar arrays, that's for homeowners.
Correct. Or roof, yes, you have to own your roof.
You have to own your roof.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to own your roof to be able to install an array and certainly get the incentives and benefits.
Okay, so I would like to put up this slide one more time, because as I said, we're in this time period of, and what Jocelyn just said is that while the benefits will continue and will persist, they will be ramping down slowly after 2019.
Correct.
So if you've been thinking about this, it's a great time to get in on this. And again, we're not pushing this because anyone's getting rich about the group buy. Certainly no one's getting rich. Jocelyn has like a job and a half, job and 3/4 because of this. But it does allow this to go forward in kind of a volume discount kind of a way.
It's a wonderful way to install solar. It's a turnkey operation, because included in this is not only the equipment and the installation, but the permitting. A structural engineer looks at every array that goes up and looks at the roof to make sure it can support the array. Getting Eversource to come out and swap out the meters, going through the whole process of registering this for the incentives. All of that is done for the owner.
As part of participation in the group
and
buy.
as part of the cost. Plus,
Great.
the customer service is unbelievable.
Great, okay. So let's just say, again, this is Meet the Problem Solvers. I'm Judy Perlman. This is Jocelyn Tager. Jocelyn is the founder and organizer for Neighborhood Solar, and we've just learned a lot, but I have to tell you, there's even more. So I'm going to say a little bit, and then I'm going to ask Jocelyn to explain it. But what we're talking about, what we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes is sort of house by house by house, having these interventions happen there. But Jocelyn was instrumental in having the city of Watertown, city or town, pass an ordinance. And now I'm going to ask you to explain all of that incredibly cool stuff to us, Jocelyn.
Thank you, Judy. In November of 2018, the town of Watertown unanimously passed a solar ordinance. It requires all new construction, commercial, residential of a certain size, and all parking garages facilities to be solar producing. We are the first, probably east of California. We're certainly the first in Massachusetts and in New England. It was 3 years in the making, and I was asked by a town councilor to write this because of these programs.
Mm-hmm.
She knew about because I go around telling everybody about these programs.
She knew about it
them.
because she's a little hard to miss when she's
when
doing
I'm out
her
there.
thing.
Right. So she knew about the programs. She came and asked me to write this when I said, when do you need it by? This is Susan Falkoff, our town councilor. When I said, Susan, when do you need this by? The date she gave me was in 8 days.
8 days.
I ended up, I thought my days of all-nighters were over, but they weren't because I had to get this out. I made sure that it was read by somebody who knows more about solar than I do. It was read by a man by the name of Dan Voss, who was at Sunbug at the time. It didn't, that time it didn't go anywhere, but 18 months later, another town councilor asked that it be heard again, and this time it made it, and that's Aaron Dushku, and this time it made it all the way, it got sent to the town lawyer for
Went through the process.
And the
Right.
process, so it took 3 years from start to finish, but it happened. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
So let's just recap what it is, because this is a truly, truly high impact piece of work that
Right.
Jocelyn essentially led her town to. And what it says is that all new construction, residential, commercial of a certain size, and all parking garages, parking structures, parking facilities, must have solar production integrated into it. That's pretty astounding. That sort of puts a stake in the ground. This has to happen.
Right.
This has to happen. If you're going to build in our city,
Right.
in our town, this is what has to happen. And so what I have to tell you is that people from all different areas are calling Jocelyn, calling the town lawyers and saying, how did you do this? Where do we start? And so not only is Jocelyn a visionary lady who's gotten a lot of people very excited about this, house by house by house by house, but now she's doing it municipality by municipality.
So sweet.
It's pretty cool. So now I just want to tell a little funny story about how Jocelyn and I got to know each other. As you know, this is a new show for me. I'm very excited about it. And I sent out one of these, sort of friends and family emails saying, hey, believe it or not, I'm going to start this weekly interview show. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm kind of psyched. If you have any cool ideas, please send them along. And by reply email, my good friend and ex-husband Bob Binstock said, you must talk with this woman, Jocelyn Tager. She is, and Bob is an activist in his own right. And
he's been great.
He was already on this track, but he sort of found Jocelyn, Jocelyn found him, and there's a little movement of people who are out there knocking on doors, getting the word out. Bob sort of is thrilled about what's happening in his own house, that he has this done now.
He does have it.
Yeah.
And he's been an enormous help.
That's great.
He's been just a great help and a great support out there canvassing. It's not just I who am out there canvassing. And I think the other thing, Judy, that I didn't say is that I think what we have before us is enormous. We have to change the culture and narrative around energy, the kind of energy we use, and how we use it. And I truly believe the only way that's going to really happen is by connection. And that I think that's why I go door to door, is because it's how I can make a connection with somebody in talking to them about the necessity of this and the urgency of it. I mean, I'm not hysterical when I talk to people about it, but it is urgent.
Yeah.
We are in a climate crisis as opposed to just climate change, and we have to change how we think about and use energy.
Yeah, and that's really where you got engaged.
Right.
You saw this in Turkey. You said, I don't know how to do this, but I have to do this.
it, right.
So let's one more time put this up. Make sure that people who might be interested in participating in this last group buy of 2019 have the information. Go to that website. There's also a phone number on there, but all the information you need is going to be on the website. And any question that you have will be answered, because I cannot tell you how encyclopedic this woman's knowledge is. And the other thing I want to do is also just put up our own slide for Meet the Problem Solvers. We've been doing this for a number of weeks now. Very excited about how this is going. And I really just want to invite you to share your thoughts, share your ideas. We're going to have a link on the Facebook page about neighborhood solar, and as we roll forward and we have other kind of active initiatives like that, they'll be there. So join us on Facebook, send us a note, all that kind of stuff.
Can I say thank you, Judy?
You can say thank you, Jocelyn.
Can I get
You
that
can-
in there?
You can say thank you, and we'll